Guys, so I am back with a little tutorial on another name badge and UV resin, and we're going to make this as a teacher appreciation name badge for my daughter's art teacher. So pretty exciting here. So going to do a couple of things. I've got mica powders. They are from Resin. They're interference, so they're shimmering and give you different color based on your lighting. So what I want to do, I'm going to do a blue and a violet. I guess that's where we're going to go with blue. And I'm going to just do, since it's for an art teacher, I just kind of want, you know, a little bit of blue. I'm going to do a little bit of purple. And kind of do nothing exact by any means. Just kind of, and I guess a natural but diagonal striping. If that makes some sense, maybe. This one almost looks, oops, well, I just covered myself. Good job. I'll have some violet. I like purple, so. I'll put just a little bit up here, because then I think I can make the rest be blue. And like I said, not anything exact by any means. Just getting something kind of in place. It's funny, the violet looks greenish in this light to me. I don't know how it's coming up on the camera. And the blue looks yellowish. Whatever. So I'm just using a paintbrush, dry paintbrush, to pick up the mica powder and to add it on where I want it to be, essentially. So nothing fancy with it, just getting it laid into the mold. And then the resin, UV resin, will actually just pull that color into up. There are my brushes. So, yeah. Alright, so I want to do a really thin layer of the clear first. And then I'm going to probably do black and then do white. And the reason for that is that I want the back side to have more of a dark tint to it, but I want the front to have a lighter tint to it. And you'll see more once we get this moving along what I'm going for. So just trying to make sure that I get it all the edges, and it doesn't need to be a thick layer. But obviously I don't want a gap in the coverage. So you'll see I leave a little gap and hoping that the resin just fills that gap in. If it doesn't fill it in, I'll come back and add more. But this is just kind of giving us a good, nice thin base without going too crazy. I'm going to get good around there, and I'm going to get good in my corners, because those are going to be hard areas to make sure. Okay, I have a bubble in that corner. Don't move my head. See a couple little bubbles. Nothing major, but oh, about dropped that bottle. I don't think that lid goes to that, or it's stripped. I don't know. Anyhow, silicone brush here, so I know that it's not going to hurt my mold as I pull that bubble up. I'll look behind here. I think I got a big bubble. sometimes a little tricky to tell on these molds. Now the violet and the blue really pop. I love it. Okay, so I just kind of went around the edge just to make sure that I've got all my bubbles pulled up. I'm going to run over with my handy dandy little ladder just to see if I see any others that I want to try to get up. Now I've got some chunks of mica for sure, and I see a couple little bubbles in the center. I'm going to use my silicone brush to go ahead and pick them up. There's a pretty big one right here. He's stuck in the mica powder. I'll bring him to the surface and then we'll get him popped. And this mica powder, basically by taking your silicone brush you can move the bubble to the surface. And if you can get the bubble to the surface, then you'll be able to pop it. And I do have a piece of glitter that tried to jump in. So we'll get it off of there. Pop that one. I see a few more too. And they are underneath. I can tell that they're not on the surface, so they're not popping when I use the lighter. So by picking them up and bringing them up to the surface, then we're able to pop them. There's a little one here too. Okay. Oh. You could probably spend days looking for bubbles, but we're not going to spend days looking for them. Now you gotta be careful with your ladder. You do not want to set your resin on fire, and you do not want to burn your mold. So don't go crazy with it. Don't go long with it, because you do not want to do that. That is not fun. Alright, under the UV light, 2 minutes. Let that cure up. I am using the Let's Resin UV light. This one is the dual model, so you got light from the bottom and the top coming in on it. I like that for my layer projects. Makes a huge difference for it. We're also going to do a little, for the badge, we're going to do one too. Although gotta figure out what I want to do for it. Like, what is more fun? I kind of feel like this handprint one is what I'm going to do, because it's for an art teacher, and I think that would be cute on there. And then I might do a thin layer of vinyl for my Cricut and say art teacher or something. I'll see. Kind of depends on how this other pot comes out. We'll see. Don't know. Time will tell. Now, because of this mold, I'm going to actually pull this out. Of course, a big old bubble formed right there, and it's probably already cured up enough that I can't really pop it. I might be able to. Because this mold is not 100% designed for doing what we're doing, you're going to get some curlage going on it. So I'm definitely, like, seeing that curlage, and that's fine, because I'm gonna, once this cools, I'm gonna flatten it out. Now, because it is a gift and going to her teacher, I am gonna go ahead and let it cool. So I'm gonna put this book on it. It's a pretty big book, gives it some weight. Let it cool and flatten. I'm gonna also put that on top, and I'm gonna do that through each stage. Yes, it's gonna take a little bit longer to do it, but my point of doing that is so that I can get a really good flat surface. So while the UV resin is hot, it's gonna want to automatically curl up. But once it cools, if it's cured to flat, then it's gonna stay flat. But if it's cured curled while it's warm and cooling and it's curled, then you're gonna have a curved surface. So to try to prevent that, I am going to do this. I'll probably leave it for about 5 minutes, come back, take a look at it, and see if we got it good enough. If I had a chill blaster, that would be pretty awesome. Something to cool it off, but I don't. So I will be back in about 5 minutes and we'll see what happens. Alrighty, so been about 5 minutes, maybe a little more. Oh yeah, that has definitely flattened out. Still got some curvature going, which I would expect just because I didn't have that book directly on the flat surface. It would have landed on the mold. You'll see it can pop right out of the mold, so I would always just caution at this point that we don't get seepage down, or if we do get seepage down, we're going to have to do some dremeling, which is fine. So yeah, anyway, let's go on to the next step. I wanted black towards the back, so I'm going to do black, but I'm going to do, because I was able to pull it out a little bit and I can see that I didn't fully cover maybe all the spots with mica. Now I can't tell which is which. Let's see, this is a blue. Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay. So I'm going to do just another little layer, and I'm going to try to kind of blend my lines, I guess is what I'm trying to say there. That like kind of gathered up. It's kind of funny. It's like a static thing. Because like I said, I don't want this to be a super defined line, but just, you know, a little something. Here, so there's kind of my blues. Alright. And since I'm not going to go back and forth between the tubes, since I now know where my lines are, I'm using the same brush. I'm not worried about the little bit of mixture. Again, just kind of gently brushing it on, making sure we have enough to give some color. Fill in any gaps that I might have had. Do some blending. Okay. Alright. Looks like a hot white mess, but it's not going to be. Alright, so I want black. And I am using Counterculture DIY UV resin. This is a black that is designed specifically for the UV light. So you'll notice it's not super dark of a black, and that's just fine. I don't want that super dark black because then our UV light would not cure. And it's pulling some of the micas up, which is fine. And it's always going to try to self-level, so I'm expecting it to pull from the edges down into the center. I'm trying to not get in my crease, but also let it get up on that edge as much as possible. And I might have just went in the crease on this side, but that's okay. I plan that I'm probably going to have to Dremel this piece anyway on the edges, and then I'm going to coat the edges either with a silver or a gold pen, paint pen, depending on what I like. So, nice thin layer. It's kind of fun. You can just create patterns. try to, you know, I mean, it is what it's going to be at this point, so just kind of fun little thing. All right, now same concept. We are going to go with our lighter. Oh, almost got that on fire. Smart. Not really. I was trying to get down into a bubble that is definitely a little deeper. It's actually a bubble, I think, in the clear. So I was trying to pop a bubble that can't be popped. And I think that's pretty well good. I'm gonna just, because this color is there, I'm just gonna kind of, a little bit thicker mica that pulled up to the top here, I'm just gonna wisp it so that it gives some little wispies like this naturally did. I'm gonna pop this back in. No more than 2 minutes, give or take, because we are curing from the bottom and the top. I can tell due to the mica powder on top there that was pulling to the top, we're gonna have some divots. Not super worried because we are gonna go over with a white layer, flatten that out before we do our temporary tattoos on it. So I'm not overly concerned, shall I say, at this point. So kind of one of those that we can work on doing. So my husband is texting me. He's like, can you help me? Like, no, I can't right now. It'll be a few minutes. But, alrighty. I don't know how much longer I want to let that cure, because we're going to have some curling again, and I do want to put that back on top. It's pretty cured up. And I know from our next levels, we're going to do a lot more curing. We're going to get more cured. So it's definitely curling again, which I expected. So we're going to force it down, add some weight. This isn't super heavy, but it will do a little something. And that's really not heavy at all. I'm like, I need heavy things, but I don't have a lot of heavy things in my workspace. Here, we'll just make a tower, which is hard for you guys to see, but yeah, this was my oopsie flash cure. You'll get to see that in an episode. That was fun. Anywho, let's leave that. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, we are back. It's been definitely 5 minutes. Alrighty. Oh yeah, that looks so much better. I am loving it. Okay. This one I'm not going to do any mica powder. I'm going to take the white. Same concept. Oh, I think my black really went down on the back side. I don't know if I love. It'll probably be okay. I'm going to start actually in the middle. And I'm just giving constant pressure as I'm squeezing this out, basically, so that I'm getting a relatively same amount that's kind of coming out. There's a bubble there, but I'll get him. It's that one spot that really likes to go down the sides. That's okay. That's alright. Of course, that black back there with the swirls, I don't know if we'll see that on the other side. Probably not. It's really pretty, but I just covered it up. So, no going back. And basically, as it sets up, I can see if there's areas that I want a little bit more coverage. I can go back and squeeze a little extra. in there. And of course I see some bubbles. Doop, doop, doop. Pop those out of there. Yeah, looking good. Okay, 2 minutes. I know I say that every time and then we don't end up doing a whole 2 minutes. That's fine. I'm gonna prep my thing here. So anytime you want to make sure your mold is ready, you can use like masking tape or packing tape. Scotch tape will work. Some sort of tape that just painter's tape. I like masking tape. I can get it for $1.25 plus tax at the local Dollar Tree, and it lasts a really long time. The bottom doesn't matter, but I always like to do my bottom so I can see if I'm missing something that maybe it's not picking up. I think my mold is dyed right there, so I'm not worried about that. This, I'm not going to worry about the backside. It's going to be what the backside's going to be. Because it's going to be attached to the clip of our badge reel. And oh my goodness, we are curling, which makes this next layer super hard. So we have that prepped. We are curling clear up out of the mold. So I'll pull it out here in just a moment. I want to let that white, it's going to have a harder time curing because you're going through the black, the clear, the mica powder, the black, well, there's more mica powder than the black, than the white now. It's going to have a hard time from the top, or excuse me, from the bottom curing, but from the top it's definitely getting a cure. Yeah, it seems good. Alright, so I'm not sure if you can see, but it's popping out of the mold down here. So that's the curling that I'm trying to counteract. So go ahead, actually, I have something really heavy. Here, this is a decorative piece from World Market. They gave my mom several years ago, and I love little cute drawers, and so when she passed away, it's a piece that I decided I was keeping for myself. So we've got that on there. I'm going to give it another 5 minutes just to let that harden up, cool off a little bit, harden, hopefully more flat, and then we're going to add some temporary tattoos, clear coat, clean up our edges. We're getting close. Alrighty, folks, we're going to take this off. I'll probably need it again, but at least we'll move it over there. Oh yeah, that looks so much better. Little tacky. So before I add the tattoo on, I am going to pop it under there. I wish I had a minute setting, but I'll try to kind of keep an eye on it, and we'll run that for a minute. So, you know. Okay, so I put that under a little bit longer than a minute, but then I used the book and I was able to flatten it. So I can definitely tell on these edges I'm going to have to do some dremeling. I've already resigned to that fact. That is what it be. So, temporary tattoos. Fun little trick if you haven't already watched the other video where I did this. It's a fun little added thing. So this is just water. Temporary tattoos, you just take off the clear plasticky piece. You're going to put it where you want it to be. And it's a little bit hard because you can't see through, so you kind of got to do some guesswork. And then you want to make sure that this gets all wet. And some people like to do a warm water, which you could. But I found just straight from the water bottle, I'm good. And I like to pull from a corner and just slowly pull it up. And then make sure that I get all of this down. And there's our tattoo. That's cute. Little pink tattoo. Alright. I'm going to do this one up in this corner. You could also cut them to be a little bit more the size of the space that you're doing. That would, you know, cut it a little closer so that then you could tell exactly where it's getting put in, but which I've done before too. Whatever tool helps you. Oh, look at that. So then I just push down any area that didn't seal like fully or go on. I just kind of push those down. It's looking cute. Okay. We're going to keep rolling. My top of my paintbrush is pretty much right there, so a little bit of water, dab, dab, dab. And then, it's not ready. I could tell. I took off the little slip, right? That'd be really bad. Yeah, I did. Okay. So our little top is a little bit probably close to the edge, but that's okay. I'm just going to use our silicone brush and kind of push it down. Then I want to do this splatter. Like a little paint splatter over here. A little bit of water. And you can, like, I just use my nail usually to push it down. Those overlapped a little, which is fine. Not really worried about that. Okay, now the fun one. I don't know what I was going to spray, but I was going to. So this one says art. I'll put it smack in the middle. The spray bottle is not the best. There we go. I think it was just out of water in its little tray or tube. Oh, look at that. Look how pretty that is. So, I'm going to take just a paper towel, gently, because your tattoos could still be a little tacky. So gently put that on there. And I think that's cute. Really cute. Then I'm going to take a little bit of my heat gun. It's just the Counterculture DIY heat gun. Low heat. And I'm going to blast it with just some of the heat. Just to dry up any of that extra water that we might have after dabbing it. Thing you want to be careful with is when you have that paper towel go on, you're going onto a sticky material, and that sticky material might catch a little bit, and then you might end up with like this like sticky backing there. So, which I did a little bit right there. I think once I add the top resin, we'll be fine. I am going to leave this for 5 minutes though. Let that finish air drying before I put our clear coat on. So, you know, my famous words. Be back in 5. Okay, we are back. This has had plenty of time to air dry. More than 5 minutes. My famous 5-minute words. And then it becomes longer. But that works. I gave it plenty of time to dry. I don't want to have it wet underneath. Reason for that is you will get your resin bubbling. And you will not have a long lasting piece. And you do not want that. You want this to be able to be enjoyed for a long time. And yes, I see the big bubbles. I will get them. That tattoo looks like it might be raised a little right there. I'll use my silicone brush and make sure it's sealed down. Okay, well, I got that on me. Alrighty, let's. That temporary tattoo is trying to raise up a little bit, and I could see it bubbling. So go ahead and pop that, release the air from it. I got quite a few bubbles. Some are surface level, and some I don't think are, so we're gonna at least get the surface level ones popped, and then we will see about these undersurface. That also had a little bubble going. I just created a little air pocket under it. So because it didn't get that air pocket out, basically, then it releases all these little bubbles, which we will pop. There's a glitter piece, but I think it is in the layer below, so it's going to stay. It's also going to tell you where it is. Alright, let's get all these little bubbles that I've popped up to the surface. Oh, I think that's good. A few bubbles, you know, it's an art piece. Not going to be the end of the world. Alright, let's see how 2 minutes does. We might have to put the book on it again to get that situated. We'll see. We shall see. I am going to put this book here, give us a little shield so that I can get a layer down on here. I might go ahead and do I want that on black or white? Good question. It's probably gonna show up better on white. So, in the mold we prepped. It's one of my plastic skins from one of the tattoos. It wasn't in this mold, but it was hanging over it. So get that out of there. And I'm starting on my edges so that it can really set down, because this is a kind of a geode form on it. And I want it to be able to get in all those edges and really get that form. But then I only need a thin layer on it, so it's not like you have to sit here and make sure that it gets too thick. It's a pretty minor layer. And the reason why I put the book here is this is blocking the UV light so that I can work on this side and be able to handle it. So basically that way it's not curing this up while we're working with it. It gives that block. It's not perfect, but it does avoid inadvertently full-on curing this while we're working on it. Because that's never fun. I've done it. Trust me. Been there. Done that. So I'm going to pull this out. And yep, definitely curling a little bit. So I am, and I'm getting fingerprints on it. I hope I get those off. I'm going to go ahead and just pop that in there. Put the book on it. Put our little drawers on. And then the lecture weight. Oh. And while that's curing, then we have this on, flattening it. And hopefully pretty much we're at a point of, I'll probably clean up our edges with the Dremel, but I probably want to let it set for 20-30 minutes just so that it can fully harden. So we'll get this little guy done. He won't take long. He's gonna just need a couple little thin layers and he should be done. So I might try to just slide this out of the camera view, but what y'all can't see is out of the camera view is a mess in every direction. So we went the least messy direction. I cleaned it off so that I could scoot that back and let that just sit there. Like I said, I would probably do it 20-30 minutes. Likelihood, given my timing, I'm probably going to have to break for dinner and come back and wrap this up later tonight. So it'll probably sit there a good hour plus before I go messing with it, which is fine. It ain't going anywhere. It's not going to hurt it. This I do want to go 2 minutes just because I want it to get a good solid cure with that white, since it's our base coat, and I want to have that nice and solid, solidified. And it shouldn't be much longer. We'll pull that out and we'll add our temporary tattoo. And a layer of clear. And that's done. It'll be done. Done, I say. We had a bubble that popped up underneath, but it's going to get covered, so I'm not really worried about that. Alright, I'm going to have to trim this pretty good for this to fit. So I'm just using scissors. I already took my clear film off, so just having to be careful that I don't cut the little fingertips off. Okay. And it's actually pretty warm, so it's probably gonna get that on there pretty well. And then we add the water to make the paper be able to come off. And this one, you'll notice on those others, if the edge went up and over, I didn't really worry about making sure it was wet. But this one I am making sure, just because I cut so close. I don't want us to have an issue. Oh my gracious, that is so cute. It fit perfectly. Looks like I might have a little, it actually just might be where that other bubble is. Let's see. Sure that that lets any air out. Okay, so I'm going to hit this with the little heat gun. This is so cute. So cute. The little red fingertips weren't laying correctly, and there's a little bit of water still in here, so I just took the water with my silicone brush and helped push those down. Water is always going to help make sure you get that down. And then, like I said, you just want to be very gentle so that you don't stick your paper towel too much to it. But I know I had some water pooling, so I wanted to soak that up. It wasn't much, but I definitely got some up. Okay, I'm going to hit it one more time with the heat gun, and then we're going to put a clear coat on it, and that is done, which is exciting. Super exciting. So this is our clear. Always know because it's my big bottle. I don't have big bottles of the white or black. So just have the big bottle and clear. So getting this all on here. Nice clear coat. That's beautiful. And then I am going to take our light, or not light, our lighter. That one must be underneath. Surface. Here, the surface, here, there. Get these bubbles. Get these bubbles. Alrighty. I think they're pretty well, maybe. Let's see. I'm seeing like a little hair. So I'm just gonna pull that up and out. It's funny that I can see the bubble in the white. I was like, oh, you won't be able to see it. No, I can see it. Probably any other person looking at it wouldn't see it. It's just because I'm the artist and I'm just a critic when it comes to that stuff. And it looks like I wasn't fully over to the edge there, so I just moved the resin with my silicone brush to give us that edge. And then we're going to pop it back in here for 2 minutes. And then we'll probably just let it sit until I come back and I pull the badge reel out, and then I'll unmold it, just because that will allow it to finish fully curing and I won't transfer fingerprints, and I don't have to then put a glove on. Saves yourself a step. So 2 minutes and it will be done. Okay. About got it. And then I'll come back and I'll merge these videos together so that you guys can see the process of adding that to the actual real part of the badge, connecting it to the badge part, also cleaning up the badge, making sure that it's all cleaned up, edged properly. We might do a little coat on top just to do a seal as well. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes when we get here and get it cleaned up. So, and basically when this goes off, I'll show you guys a close-up of it, and then you'll get to see this one. And like I said, I'll unmold it when I come back. Okay, so feels like it should be done, but you know, longest 2 minutes of our lives. There it is. Alrighty. So, not sure this lighting is a little funky because the sun is shining through, but you can see that it's super cute. And all temporary tattoo, UV resin, super easy. So, I will see you guys a little bit later, and we'll put this all together and finish it up. Thanks.